There is co-pilots, there's agents, we call it teammates, God knows. They're called assistants, genies. So what's all this, right? Like, what's your view on this agentic architectures, co-pilots? What's really happening? It's too confusing to the end user.
I think that the simple way to envision, I think of this just, taking inspiration from how the web came about, with hypertext and then the protocols around the web, whether it is HTTP or you had a browser, which was basically became the UI for the web. There were web servers that served up the pages, and there were these protocols as I was describing it. So if you sort of take that, we are building the agentic web.
Correct.
So if you're building the agentic web, the first thing is there's going to be a UI layer, right? Even for what is a fully agentic web, at some point they need to interface with us, whether it is to take a prompt, to take some instructions, to do some notifications. So the management layer of these agents is going to be with a UI layer that meets human and human workflow. So that's what Copilot is designed for, right? So the concept of Copilot that's the UI for AI is how I describe it. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is, okay, what is the web server? So you can even think of that as the browser.
Browser, yeah.
Right? So then the next thing is, okay, what's the moral equivalent of a server? The web server. And that's where we think of like what we are building with Foundry as the factory to build these agents. These agents will also come with multiple modalities. Agents that are really conversational agents, which are fundamentally about the human UI. There are semi-autonomous agents, which just take a high-level intent, go create a plan, go execute, and then come back. Maybe there's a fully autonomous agent, but even a fully autonomous agent at some point, I like to say, will do a PR to a human and
Absolutely.
say, please review, right? So that if you envision it that way, then the UI layer, the factory to build agents in multiple modalities, and then all of these are going to be required. So instead of having narrow arguments about, in fact, a lot of people I think say we're going to move from one phase to the other. No, we're going to have all of it, right? We'll need the Copilot. The Copilot will be able to invoke agents. Those agents will have multiple forms, and that I think is the way to go about it.
Got it. Let's talk about another favorite topic. I always like to be positive, but many industries, like what happened in the e-commerce arena, let's use the right word, have to reimagine themselves. So like enterprise software moved from perpetual license to subscription with SaaS, and now it's going to move to consumption or outcome-based pricing, which companies like you pioneered both. What you did with Office 365 and then with Azure, the consumption model. What do you think SaaS companies need to do? They own all the data. They have all these software interfaces. Using an agent or a co-pilot, I may not need to go to all these places. How do they reimagine themselves? Some of them will be around. Some of them...
I think it's the right way to even think about it, right? After all, when was the last time enterprise software changed? SaaS was a big change. It was a change in how we built the software, how we licensed the software, or the business model around it. And same thing happened with servers, right? They moved to cloud. They became how we built it. The business model became consumption versus licenses, and so on. So I think that's what's going to happen. It's the moral equivalent. When I look, for example, when I go to Copilot, and I use this new agent we just launched called Researcher, right? If I'm prepping for a meeting with a customer, I just go and say, hey, I'm meeting a customer. Here is the name. Can you prep for me by looking at everything from the web and work and all my business systems? So, for example, I don't go to my CRM system and pull it out.
Yeah, you're in your agent.
The researcher goes and pulls all of it together and synthesizes it. It has citations. I can always go look at it. Just like how we do it on web, you can now do it on the internal enterprise data graph. So that is the world, right? So this idea that I'm going to hoard data in silos, it's just not going to work because you're flowing against the current. So what are business applications? Business applications have a lot of IP in the schematization of some business process, right? So there's a lot they've done to essentially digitize what is a business process. That's all in a database. Then they write a lot of business logic around it, and then they put a UI. So I think it behooves all of us who are in business applications. That's what we're doing with Dynamics, right? So this sales agent talks to researcher agent, then I invoke from Copilot. So it's a complete new way. Instead of going to a browser tab, the agent is going to come to you.
Absolutely.
Now, the user is not going to come to you. So you have to rethink the business model and say, more agents are going to use my app. I mean, the reality is, let's face it, if you look at the MAUs of any SaaS application, they're pretty low.
Yep.
In fact, it's always used to surprise me that the amount of money some of these SaaS companies make to the amount of usage they have is to me like, wow, that's an unbelievable gig. And then I say, wow, that's going to change. But it also could mean many more agents now can come at it. But it's going to be disruptive. So if you have
Absolutely.
a very high-priced user product, you'll have to rethink.
Absolutely, right? And I think what you're talking about, researcher, if I abstract it for people, it's really a digital companion, which is helping me amplify my skills and get my work done faster and better.
That's right.
And that's how this technology will manifest itself.